Hello, hello, friends. How are you? Welcome. You entered the eye of the storm knowingly. You knew that you are. I'm a person that always searches for the truth, at least mine. And being a man of science, mine is based on facts. Yes, but you placed yourself as the head of the opposition. I didn't place myself. Perhaps they placed me. And why don't they do it 2 months ago? Why did they sit on the studios and told fairy tales to the Israeli people? These exponential experts, of whose words not a single one is correct. How has this narrative formed that you became the star of the opposition? 50 years ago, I studied medicine in a 30-year run on Vantage Point with Yale done. People knew me as someone who, I hope, knows what he's talking about. We're talking about a new virus here. Under no circumstance should this incite panic or hysteria. He was a manager at the health department more than 30 years ago, host of a popular TV show during the 80s when there was only one channel. This is real, Professor Hasgador. And now he's the preacher at the gate, stubborn, assertive, uncompromising, and very emotional. Do you know what the catalogers will say? Yes. Professor Lass used the opportunity to return to the center of the stage, and here is the chance to rush onto the screens and be at the front. Listen, I've been everywhere in this country. I'm not searching anything and not running anywhere. I filled positions and helped to the utmost of my ability to make things better. Now it is only an errand. In whose name? In the name of truth. In the name of making life here better. I can present messages in which the warning appears, for instance, immersed in a background of deep blue. This means some bright sky, but it is very blue. He confesses that he misses the TV show that made him famous, when he appeared at the side of Yale Dunn as a man of science. The rating at the time of a lonely and soul TV channel reached, of course, high into the sky. Many games lately are influenced by the Gulf War. For instance, we have here a plane that attacks in the desert. Well, look, this is a picture from the days of Vantage Point. Our rating was what? 100%. We were alone. There was only one channel. This was a very lively epoch. The special carpet on which the demonstrator Roy is running works like electric scales at the grocery store. I understand that I need to hold the hand like a bob, back and forth. Well, I still have what to learn. So here in the teleprompter stood some paper tape. And there was a special man who would roll the paper tape for the teleprompter. Since he returned to the public consciousness in the last weeks, he is flooded with reactions. Lass tells us that most of them are complimentary, but there are obviously those that are less flattering. For example, the president of the hospital Shaarei Tzedek, the Professor Jonathan Halvey, said that when Lass rushed to suggest the lifting of the curfew, the demand of Professor Lass for full opening of business is irresponsible. So why does Professor Halevi say that you're irresponsible? Because, come on, he was my student. He's an outstanding person, he built Shaarei Tzedek, but is he brainwashed? Everyone is brainwashed. They want to turn the population of Israel into a herd of sheep. Brainwashed, who don't think. And they have succeeded? To a large extent, yes. What was the response that offended you? It's impossible to offend me. The numbers are on my side. The Professor Yoram Lass is already not alone. Another bitter critic joined lately, the Professor Eitan Friedman from the hospital Sheba in Tel HaShomer. Let's talk about the things that bother us all regarding Corona. What is this virus and what is its source? His one lecture on YouTube became viral and spread like fire in the social networks. I wasn't in the 50th battalion, I was in battalion 890. So 890 fools, 200 and a little. Is it hard to be in opposition these days, Professor Friedman? It is very difficult to be in the opposition, especially the decisions are not transparent. There is no information that is open to the public, to the people that are not sitting within the system, for them to know how many sick there are, the concentration of the sick, how many tests were made, how many false positives. Everything is rumors. It's hard to believe the opposition from Professor Lass, not as long as you know that the truth and the numbers are on your side. They don't agree on every point, but in every one category they have no difference of opinion. Grave mistakes were made and are continuing to be made in regards to the management of the crisis. So what in your eyes is the largest failure of the health department? The biggest? That they haven't protected from start the retirement homes and the geriatric hospitals. From my perspective, this is an outrage which must be investigated. Professor Lass? Beyond concurring, another failure. Terrible propaganda, sowing of the seeds of fear. Look at Merkel. After she speaks in Germany, is it possible to ask her questions? Yes. It touches my heart to see that so many people obeying the rules. Here they come with the Dark Ages, and yesterday they came with the Holocaust. Yesterday they stitched Corona with the Holocaust. Where have we come to? Unlike facing the Holocaust, this time we recognized the danger at the right. We made important decisions and harnessed all the systems of the state to wage war against the Corona. In 2.5 days, we will have results. We will know what is the situation in Bnei Brak, to be sure. Not so many considerations, such and such number of sick. We will know what conditions are like in Bnei Brak, the neighborhood. Bnei Brak, 200,000 people. Everyone sick, yes? According to the media, everyone is sick. 70,000, huh? What is the sick? Where is the dead? How many? We don't know. There is a small and excellent hospital, Ma'anei Yeshua. Really, competition. If the little one is taking care of everybody in Bnei Brak, where is the plague? All this being made where the wind is blowing, where the public pressure is being applied. And we are being blamed that where obedience is eroding. Friends, we are not Minutemen. We want the information, we want to know, to be able to provide, to obey guidelines, under the conditions that we understand the rationale behind them.
Just closing down the whole society, there's nothing to bring us evidence that this will be a long-term solution.
In Sweden, there is no lockdown at all. According to the exponential exports, there is no lockdown, the hospitals will collapse, and they haven't collapsed. Why would they collapse here? I think that the Swedish experiment is a unique experiment in the world, and it should be looked at. There are other ways other than global lockdown. And the lockdown might have worked at first, now it is exaggerated and cannot be a total lockdown. Even those who don't place themselves on the side of the critic, that of Professor Friedman and that of Lass, and thinks despite them that the lockdown was right and proper action, is now anticipating improvements in the speed of obtaining test results and in transparency. Children that cannot alone at home, in essence, obligate their parents to stay with them, and those who have paralysis of the household. And this paralysis, I am making an educated guess here, is not balanced between men and women, and it is a paralysis that is more problematic for single parents, and hence there is real need to think if we can produce some sort of alternative frame for the children below the age of 9, an age when they can remain alone in the house. And if we protect them one side and release the less vulnerable people, we would be able to preserve the economy and society as well. The inclusion of the public will assist in fostering obedience and compliance. And I think that the public is also focused and doesn't see the vision. Moshe Bar Siman Tov, Director of the Health Ministry. Hello, good evening. Good evening, hello, good evening. We're saying to Moshe Bar Siman Tov, the Director of the Ministry of Health, can you first of all update us how many tests were conducted in Israel? We are working with our strength and all the causes that we have in the country. Is the public ripe to hear criticism according to your feeling? I certainly think that at first I was gagged. The leaders were very belligerent, placed bad words in my mouth on purpose. Today I think that people understand we have here a virtual plague. Virtual. I do not agree. The health minister, one must say, has rejected all the criticisms up until this point, including those of Professor Lass and those of Professor Friedman. Do you think that you believe that you exercise influence on those determining policy? They are stuck. They're simply stuck. I am a member in a group of people with a lot of credit that is trying to influence the decision makers. Up until now, nothing has happened. What motivates you, Professor Friedman? Me personally, I want to swim. I want to swim. You close the sea, close the swimming pool, there is no sense in this thing, not one. You know, an American dollar is written on top, in God we trust, and below it is written, all else must present data. I'm sufficiently smart, sufficiently mature, and there are smarter people than me who said, give us the data, and we will chart for you what are the available ways to proceed. Do you recognize that there is a strategy? If there is, I do not know what it is. I will repeat once again, I think we'll all be happy if they let us in on it. In previous situations, for example, we were in extreme situations like Gulf War, we had Mr. Nachman Shai, or in the United States, there is Fauci. He's not a manager of a health department, he's not the strategy, but he's certainly a man that explains and the strategy against it in a form that is readily accessible to the people. And I think that the compliance of the United States, a huge country, is very good compliance. In the field, things look differently. It's the day-to-day war, and at its front, the medical teams, such as the Dr. Margarita Mashavi, that manages Corona Wing B in the Wolfson Hospital in Hulon. It is a war, it is a type of war, it will always be. You never know if you have done well or not well. Total lockdown promised and proved itself that truly this is apparently the right thing. Have we exaggerated? Perhaps. There is a website that only counts the number of dead, and it shows that during the influenza pandemic in Europe in 2017, more people died than in the current one. It is impossible to hide it. It is written. What is your opinion, Professor Lass? It is like in politics, there are always different opinions, and everyone thinks that he would have acted differently. In medicine, it is not precise science. You cannot, like in mathematics, say 2 times 2 is 4. Everyone will have an opinion. You will ask 10 doctors and everyone will have this opinion. It is impossible to compare two things and say that corona is more dangerous or not. For now, we think that it seems to be more dangerous because more people can get infected. Will there be another peak? I don't know. It is possible that yes, the peak is still not in front of us. Joblessness is death. There is no depression. People commit suicide. There is pressure, blood pressure, heart attacks, violence, alcohol, drugs. For all of these people will die more than from the corona and from loneliness and loneliness. Loneliness will kill more elderly people than all the corona together with traffic accidents. No doubt. The infection, one should hope, will disappear or weaken, or vaccine will be discovered against it. What seems to be clear is that the argument and criticism are with us for a long time. Could something have been done differently? Was the system prepared? And how to improve in the future? So you're optimistic? I'm optimistic that the world will return to sanity. We will learn to live with it like with other diseases and pandemics and return and develop immunity. Correct? And develop herd immunity. The virus is here to stay. Correct? And we will learn to live with it. We will live with it like with so many other things.